Hi, this is Eliza from Tiny Pumpkin Press. Thank you so much for buying this book, and I've made this video to help you create your book for your classroom. It really is a lovely way to start to welcome your students and create a connection even before school actually starts. And this little booklet that I'm flipping through right now, it's personalized for each child. It's just printed on regular paper to make it easy to print and send to each one, but you can certainly have a sturdier copy in your classroom. But let's get started on how to do it. So if you open up the file, you'll see there will be instructions, and that right there, and in those instructions is where you'll find the link to the Google Slides version, but we'll walk through that later in the video. Right now I'm going to show you there's actually currently 2 new versions of this book because it is 2020 and the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. So I thought if you wanted to address that in this book, you could, but you certainly don't have to. You have both options available to you. So the first thing to do when you open up, I am going to work on the COVID-19 edition, but first thing you want to do is to put this year's date and then change the color to black. And then right away, go ahead and save a copy of this book with a new name. So that way you have the original template, you can go back and use it year after year, and this will be your template for this year. And even though there's a spot on the cover and the first page to add the students' names, we're going to do that all the way at the end. And I'm just going to work on all the things that are going to be the same for everybody, such as just this welcoming text on page 1. And it's going to be really important to pay attention to the page numbers here because this is meant to be printed double-sided. The pages will appear out of order. So if you see I was on page 1, now I'm going back to the first slide where it will be page 2, where I get to introduce myself and introduce the photos that I'm going to add on page 3, which is right over here. And now I'm going to start adding some photos. So I'm just going to drag and drop my photos right here. I use the corners to drag it and the crop tool to help them fit into my rectangles there that I have made. And then I have decided again, because it's 2020, and I will be wearing a mask at school, even though my students won't be. I think it'll be good this way. We'll just start thinking about that right away. And then there are labels on some of the pages, so I'm going to add my name there, and once I add my name, I'll make it a little bigger and change it to black, and that's just a great little piece of literacy for children who will start to connect some of the words in some of the pictures. So now, as you can see, I'm going to be working on page 4 and 5, which is about the cubbies. I just kind of used the text that was already there in gray and switched it to black, and now I'm going to be adding a photo. Again, I just dragged it in there from my folder, dragging the corner to make it large enough, and then cropping to fit it inside the rectangle or the frame. And then I'm going to head on to page 6 and have a picture of our class schedule. And the reason I keep going back to the page numbers is, again, they are going to be formatted out of order, but that's just so that when it's printed double-sided, everything will be in perfect order. But if it does get confusing, it might be helpful to take a look at the Google Slides version, because there everything is formatted differently, because that's meant to be shared either online or in an email. So everything there will appear in order, so you can just, if you want to just see how the book will read front to back, you could use that. You could also print a draft version of this one, just black and white, least good quality, just so that you can, again, kind of see how it will look, how the finished product will look before you go into the template and start adding all your photos. So I'm just going to chat while I'm adding some more photos. We're a play-based school, so the focus of our pictures and my text is about the things that we'll play. If you use different language or just have different centers in different areas, you can add that as well. So now on this page that I'm working on, I'm going to start talking a little bit about lunch and snack. And the students that I'm going to have this coming year did not have lunch last year at school. They just had snack. And here I'm just going to touch on, just very gently, some of the hygiene that we're going to have in place. It's actually not anything new. Children eat their own food, and we always wash our hands before we eat. I just think they're going to be hearing more and more about it, either at home or at school, and so I thought it's a good idea to just gently put it into the text. And I really wanted to make sure to use positive language. So it took me a few tries, but I think what I decided on was your food will be just for you. And I think the language I'll also be using is keeping our bodies healthy. That feels appropriate. Now the pictures I have for lunch and snack, on this page there's room for 5 photos, and that's too many. So I'm actually just going to delete, and you'll see there's a text box there, which I'm going to delete. And now I need to go back into my file to the file that says extra pages, and then you'll see that there is a similar template that has space for just 3 photos. So what I just do is select the text box and the page, and then copy. And then go back to the file that I'm working on and paste it in there, and then I begin to add the photos. And then here's one more page. Again, that's related to some of the new health protocols that will be in place for the fall of 2020. Again, I'm not trying to hit them over the head with it, but just kind of introduce it as a thread, because again, it will be something we're talking a lot about. One of the things that I learned we'll be doing is everyone will have a pair of shoes that will stay in the classroom, and so when everybody comes to school, including teachers, we will change into those shoes, and our outside shoes will stay outside the classroom, and everybody will have their own art supplies. And you'll see, once again, I'm going to delete this page here because I currently don't have 3 photos for that. And again, I'm going to go into the extra pages document, find the 1-page template that I need, copy it and paste it in here. And again, I have a picture of some art supplies. This is not going to be the final copy for my class. It's just a sample that I'm making for you guys, but I thought it would be helpful. Oh, and I forgot, I did mention, and I really thought a lot about this, but I added a page. There is going to be a possibility that we will have to go back to Zoom, whether it's going to be for a few days or 2 weeks or for 3 months like it was this past year. I thought, again, because these are students who I've had before on Zoom, right now I'm thinking of adding that in there, but I might take it out eventually. I'll see if I feel that it's appropriate when we get closer to school. And now I'm just going to finish up this book. And the last page is actually for families to fill in a picture of who's going to be picking up the child each day. But now that we've filled in everything, we're going to go back to the cover of the book, and now we can personalize it for each student. So I've added one student's name, happens to be my son. And also on page 1, there's a spot to add his name, and then once you do that, you can save it as a separate document, or you can send it straight to print if you would like. And when you print, make sure to print on both sides, flipping on the short edge. And then I'm going to go right back into the same document and change it for the next person, who's my other son. And you can change it again and again, print it. It's up to you whether you want to save a copy for everybody. All right, let's take a look at our Google Slides version. Okay, so when you click on the link, whether it's the COVID version or not, Google is going to ask you to make a copy, and that's just going to give you the whole document. And now there are instructions there too, just I really want to make sure everybody knows what to do. But I'm also going to tell you in this video. So now we're going to find the cover of this book and then the back cover of the book and select all of those slides. And then go to File and go to Make a Copy and click Selected Slides, and now you're going to rename this copy, and that's going to be your version of the book. And that is just because in PowerPoint I can make lots of different files and zip them together. That just felt unwieldy in Google Slides, so I have everything in the same presentation. So you're just going to copy and paste the slides that you need to create your own book. And again, just like before, we'll start just with the year, and we'll just start and go through changing the things that will be the same for everybody, and then we'll individualize it for each student at the end. And I'm not going to make you watch the entire book because a lot will be the same. You click on a text box, change the text, delete what you don't need, turn things to black, and then add your photos. Photos will be the exact same thing. Drag them from your folder, and then there's just in the toolbar something that says format options if you need to turn things around, if you need to rotate or resize. But again, things will be the same. Just dragging the corner and using the crop tool to add your photos. Something that is different in Google Slides is if I want to swap out a page, if I want a template that has space for more photos or fewer photos. So I'll show you, I'm going to the slide that I want to swap out. And here I'm going to click Control A or select all, so I get all the photos and the text boxes, and I'm going to delete it. And now I'm going to go back to that original file that I opened up when I clicked on the link in the PDF. I'm going to go to the page template that I want, and again click on that slide and click Control A, which will select everything, copy, and now again go back into the current book that I'm working on and the slide that I was working on and paste the page and the text boxes there. And then from here, again, everything else will stay the same, editing the text and adding photos. And then finally, the last thing that there is to do is to individualize this for each student. So as you can see, I'm going to change the child's name on the tab on the cover. And then we're going to go on to page 1 in the second slide and change the name in the greeting. And then just the main difference is instead of sending it to print, what we're going to do is to go over to File and go to Download. And there we're going to download this as a PDF. And you can see what it looks like. It just will look a lot cleaner and easier to share either in an email or online. If you do want to share it on Google Slides, I still recommend downloading it as a PDF and then uploading the PDF to your Google Drive, because again, it will just make a finished copy as opposed to a version with text boxes and photos that always get moved around. All right, I think that's everything I have to tell you. I hope this video was helpful for you. I thank you so much again. And if you make this book and it's meaningful for you and for your students, I'd love to hear about it. You can leave a review at my shop, Tiny Pumpkin Press Printables, or follow me on Instagram at Tiny Pumpkin Press. Thank you.